So most of the time when it comes to why people aren't really remembering things very well is most people, they're walking around with massive deficiencies in fat, healthy fats.
Mm.
I'm not talking fat like butter or turkey or chicken, or I'm talking like more like omega-3s, lecithin, and vitamin E. These are a little bit lesser looked at, but they're so essential for making sure that the neurons are firing and they're speaking to each other and that you're able to have really fast reflexes and good flow. So there's an element of fats and filling in the gaps there that are so valuable and important when it comes to memory. That's one aspect that the product touches on. The other aspect is that it actually balances blood sugar.
Mm.
So you know the people where they're like, I could kill someone if I'm hungry?
Mm.
Like I will take out my knife right now and like I will fight you for that food, right? Because they just go and they're just like lacking in the stability of the blood sugar, so their mood gets really low. They start getting anxious.
Mm.
And all the while they're not realizing, oh, it's not your mood, it's your insulin, like it's your hormones that are out of whack. So this product actually really is balancing for blood sugar.
Wow.
So you could use this product as a weight loss support.
Wow.
You could use it for that. Yeah, because two of the herbs in particular, they're used for supporting digestion, they're metabolism enhancing herbs. So there's an element of the blood sugar balancing that's key. So fats, filling in fat deficiencies, helping blood sugar. Another big component is I found when it came to Western herbal medicine and Western nutrition, they don't really talk about memory that much beyond maybe, let's say, like coconut oil, using coconut oil or MCT fats to help with your brain. Those are really, really great. I love those as a food additive. I had a lady who came to me several years ago where she had gotten to stage 3 Alzheimer's disease. So her memory was like really bad. She went from cooking every single day, being able to speak, to like she couldn't speak. Her husband came to the session. He was speaking the entire time for her.
Wow.
6 weeks into working with her, she was having direct conversations with me.
Wow.
It was like a total 180. And so even the way that I worked with her, a bunch of the herbs that are in cognitive lightning was a part of it. I gave her also like really high doses of MCT oils and coconut oil every single day. And we like filled her up on a ton of like food-based B vitamins and then some other food habits. That in 6 weeks got her to the doctor and they were like, yeah, you've regressed from stage 3 back to stage 1.
Wow.
So it was like such a miracle, and most people don't realize that like food and herbs can have that strong of an impact, right?
Yes.
So this is a really key factor. I noticed that when it came to Western herbal medicine and nutrition, they don't go beyond coconut oil, right? With memory, I had to look to more Ayurveda, like Indian studies, to get into the memory support. So, for example, one of the herbs in the formulation, it has 300 studies for childhood ADHD, noticeably improvements by 30 to 40% improvements in learning.
Wow.
So like
That's
recall,
huge.
yeah, it's massive.
40%.
It gets better. They tested a group of 300 people between the ages of 46 and 75, men and women, and they noticed that there was a 65% cognitive improvement in all of them for short-term and long-term memory.
Wow.
After 3 months of use for two of the herbs that I used in the formulation. So there's a lot of research that's kind of lingering in these other cultures that aren't as much research locally, but it's like still, wow, like these are groundbreaking studies. So I remember when I first got into testing people with herbs, oh my gosh, like at the very beginning, people would be like, I'm taking ginkgo biloba and I'm doing capsules and it's not really working. And I'm like, your dose is off. Most of the memory products in Canada and the USA, they tend to really under support, or they tend to, so a lot of the times the dose that Canada and the USA will tell companies to put on their regulations, the label will often be like 4 times less to 10 times less of the dosage than what someone needs for a therapeutic response. So the problem is not always what you're taking, it's the dosage.
Wow.
It's like you're taking an ineffective dosage. If you want to maintain the level of stupidity you're at, yeah, keep taking that dose. But if you want to get around it, then the dose needs to go up.
And that's why it's probably so beneficial to work with someone like yourself who can guide someone directly. You know, because it's one thing to do some research online and then, you know, there's lots of people who say, this is good for this and this is good for that, and it could be helpful to a certain extent, but then when you get to work with someone on one-on-one, they can like formulate something specific to you and what you need.
Exactly, exactly. Because I think even the nootropic industry has really risen. Like people that are interested in microdosing and using mushrooms and using
Mm.
lion's mane to help with, their productivity. We're now in what's called the third wave of the psychedelic rise. So
Mm.
the first wave was more prehistoric, times of using mushrooms. Then it was the 60s of like, oh, psychedelics for partying. But now we're in kind of the third wave of psychedelics where people are using psychedelics for productivity, right?
Yeah.
Cognitive lightning is not a psychedelic, but it's a
Right.
nootropic,
Right.
right? The herbs that I'm using are very nootropic. So a lot of people familiar to that world of microdosing, they should know about a product like cognitive lightning because they work so well together.
Yes.
They're so synergistic. But there's gaps in what microdosing will do. It's not necessarily going to drastically improve your memory, like something like cognitive lightning.